Hi, my name is Hannah. This is the second video in our little series that we are doing, and this one talks about the risk factors for type 2 diabetes. So we know that type 2 diabetes is a complex condition, and there can be many different causes. It isn't always to do with the foods that we eat or our weight. Yes, they play a part, but often it can be things that we haven't necessarily thought of before. So there are a variety of different factors that increase our risk of developing type 2 diabetes, and we like to call these risk factors. And I'll whiz through some examples now just to make you aware. So we know that age is quite a big one. Once we hit the age of 40, that's typically when our risk of diabetes increases. That age is slightly different depending on our ethnicity, which I'll speak about in a moment. But our risk of developing type 2 diabetes is always going to increase with age, and it's just to do with that natural aging process. So the main organ that's involved in diabetes is our pancreas, and our pancreas can start to become less effective the older that we get, and that's why people's glucose levels can start to creep up, because we don't have as much of that insulin going around. Now, there are some risk factors that are completely out of our control. So we've got things like the ethnicity side of things and our family history. So there are those genetic factors involved as well. If we are South Asian or Black African or Caribbean, that can increase our risk of getting type 2 diabetes from the age of 25. So that age is a lot lower for those communities. Similarly, if we have a close relative who has either type 1 or type 2 diabetes, that can increase our risk of getting the condition as well. And that can increase our risk by up to about 6 times more likely. So lots of this is out of our control, and it is important to try and focus on the things that we can control and we can do things about. So factors like stress, poor sleep, mental health conditions, all of those can also play a part. And we'll be focusing on some top tips around this in one of our next videos, as we know that it will affect a lot of people. So if you don't have diabetes and you would like to know what your risk score is, please do scan the QR code up on the screen or follow the link. You may be able to identify a few areas of improvement just to help to reduce our risk a little bit.